What's up everyone, Clayton here, and today we're back with another Skyrim build. Today's build is called the Stafflord, and is a Breton who uses mostly staffs to do everything he can in Skyrim to deal damage, and to also summon creatures to fight by his side. The Stafflord has some backstory, so let's go get started. Like I said earlier, he is a Breton. He was a son of a king in High Rock, and he didn't really act too noble or king-like. He wasn't really a good warrior, he wasn't very smart, he had no magical abilities, but he pretended like he was the best thing since sliced bread. And he told everyone that, and one day his father got fed up with all this, and decided to tell his son that he would not be his successor. The Stafflord was really upset about this, and that night in his chambers, the Daedric prince Sheogorath showed up and decided to help out the young man. He said that he'd give him power as long as he became a follower of Sheogorath, which in turn made him insane, and on his way to Skyrim to prove to his father that he could be a king and become the king of Skyrim, since Skyrim is in turmoil. That's what he set off to do. But on his way there, he got captured crossing the border because he could not see the Imperial ambush that was set up for the Stormcloaks, because he is mentally insane now. So this character, pretty much you're mentally insane, and you use the Wabbajack, which is the Sheogorath's Daedric artifact, to kind of cause mayhem on your way to become the High King of Skyrim. So yeah, you can kind of roleplay it as that, as kind of, you know, someone who's not very good at using any other abilities, so he has to use staffs. And now, with all of his power, which is the Wabbajack, he is trying to take over Skyrim for his own name. So he's not a very good person. So with the long backstory out the way, let's get into the gameplay, and let's go ahead and start with skill lines. So for the skill trees, we have a couple here. You got Restoration, Enchanting, Smithing, and Heavy Armor. These are going to be your main skill trees that you'll be using. Restoration, just use to stay alive. Enchanting, make sure you can enchant your Heavy Armor, which is what you're going to be using for this. Since you're not very good at taking a hit, you need all the armor you can. And in this, I use the Ebony Armor, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Like I said, with Ebony Armor, you need Smithing to make sure that armor is in tip-top shape, as well as Heavy Armor to improve the hits you can take. There is also some other things to consider with the skill lines. Since you'll be using staves, if you get the Illusion, Conjuration, and Destruction leveled up, the staffs actually cost less charge to cast. So if you have Destruction at level 100, it'll cost less charge to use a lightning bolt from your staff. So keep that in mind. If you do want to level those up, they'll help you out a little bit, but you don't have to. And it kind of goes with the role playing that he's not very good at anything, use magical abilities or even fighting. So as the skills out the way, let's go ahead into the armaments and the armaments. Is that the same thing? Armor and weapons, how about that? We'll go ahead and armor and weapons. Like I said earlier, you'll be using Ebony Armor, I just like the looks of it, and also the Jagged Crown. Since you are going to be King of Skyrim, you need the crown of the Skyrim King. And then for your staffs of choice, this is where you can kind of deviate from the build. I chose lightning staffs, as well as a staff that summons a storm Atronach. You can use anything you really want for that. There's tons of staffs in the game that you can pick and choose, and if I would recommend joining the Mages College. There's tons of staffs and tons of other arcane items that you can buy there that helps you out a lot. And like I said earlier, you'll be using the Wabbajack, and you can kind of just cast it out on people randomly. Since the dude is insane, you can kind of just turn a whole town of people into chickens if you really want to. Since we know what we're going to use for weapons and armor, let's go ahead and talk about the stat spread before we get to the gameplay. So the stat spread, what you're going to be using, you probably want to put every single point you can into health. There's no reason to put any points into magicka, since you're not be using magic spells, since you're going to only be using staffs, and there's not really any point in using stamina unless you really want to run around a lot more. So I put all my points in health, and if you want to cast spells to get those other things leveled up, put some points into magicka, because you will need some points into magicka to stay alive using restoration. So we'll talk about the gameplay. What will you be doing with your staves? You pretty much just want to use your staves for damage. You want to use destruction staves for damage. You can use illusion staves to frenzy or calm down enemies. And then you can also use alteration staves. Most of these are just for lighting your way with like mage light. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's also restoration staffs that are able to make undead flee and things of that nature. There's not very many staffs, but if you do have the Dragonborn DLC, you can create your own staffs to make sure you can keep up on your staff quota and have enough staffs to get through the game. Also, I'd recommend picking up every soul gem you can find. That way you can use those to be able to use more charges. That the only way to charge your staffs is by using the soul gems, so make sure to pick all those up as you can. So one more thing before we quit the build here, one thing I would recommend getting for your standing stone is the Atronach stone. It allows you to tank more magic, so you'll be higher magic resist. Since you're a Breton, you already have a high base magic resist, but with the Atronach stone, your magic regen is way slower, which doesn't really affect you much since you'll be only using staffs. So I would recommend getting that as your standing stone. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the build. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this build, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. And if you haven't already, check out these two previous builds because I think they're pretty cool. Anyways, this is Clayton, signing out.